Salmon see the world differently than people do. Yes, they've got two eyes just like we do, but if you look carefully at a salmon, their eyes are in a different place in their head. Salmon have their eyes, one eye on each side of their head. Our human eyes are really close together. One way that salmon eyes and human eyes are very similar is when you look at someone's eyes, you're really only seeing part of their eyeball. Part of the job of the skull is to provide a protective place for the eye. So when you look at a salmon's eye, it looks kind of flat until we take it outside of the skull. And you can see that the salmon's eye is big and round. Human eyes are really close together. Our human eyes are so close together that our human eyes learn to act like a team. So if one of my eyes goes to look at Medora, the other eye automatically comes over to look at her. My two eyes work together as a team and they look at the same thing. When you have two eyes working together as a team, we have a science word for that. We call it binocular vision, kind of like looking through binoculars. With binocular vision, two eyes looking at the same thing, your brain can tell distance. So with my two eyes working together, I can tell that Medora is close by to me, and I can tell that the door is far away from me, just by looking with my two eyes. Salmon eyes are very different. Salmon have one eye on each side of their head. Salmon eyes are so far apart they can't work together as a team very well. If I was a salmon, instead of my eyes being here, my eyes would be here. The thing that's really cool about salmon eyeballs is salmon eyeballs can move independently. So one eye can look up and the other eye could look down. One eye could look forward while the other eye is looking back. Pretty important survival adaptation for salmon. Why would it be important for a salmon to be able to move their eyes independently? Well, if I'm a salmon and I'm looking for food in this direction and both of my eyes are looking that way, I can't tell if a bear is sneaking up behind me to eat me for lunch. The next thing to look at in the salmon's body is the brain. Wouldn't you like to see the brain? To see the brain, we have to cut through the skull. It makes a little bit of a crunch sound, kind of reminds me of chopping carrots to make my salad. Here's the salmon's brain. It's about the size of a piece of chewed up chewing gum. So, sorry, salmon can't help you with your math homework tonight. Some people think that salmon might be dumb because their brains are so small. But really, salmon can do some amazing things that I can't do with my big, fat, heavy human brain. I was born about 2,000 miles away from here. There is no way I could walk from here to the place I was born without a map or a compass or GPS or Google Maps showing me the way. I just wouldn't know how to do that. But salmon, even with their small, tiny brains, they leave the place where they were hatched. They might swim hundreds or even thousands of miles through a river system to get to the Pacific Ocean. Then they spend 3 years swimming in the Pacific Ocean, the biggest ocean on our planet. And they don't just hang out by the coast. No, Washington State salmon swim to the Gulf of Alaska to hunt and feed there. In fact, some Washington State salmon that were tagged have been recovered as far away as Japan. That's on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. Then after 4 years, they come all the way back home to the place where they were born. So they might have a small brain, but I think they're pretty smart navigators. These two white structures are called otoliths. The otoliths are the ear bones inside the salmon's head. Looking at the outside of the salmon, you don't see ears, so maybe you think they can't hear. Salmon actually have excellent hearing. These flappy things on the side of our human heads are not where hearing happens. What we think of as ears just help to collect and focus the sound as it travels inside our skull. Where we actually hear the sound is when our ear bones move inside of our skull. These are the ear bones taken out of the salmon's skull. These are called otoliths. Another cool thing about an otolith is that as a salmon grows, it lays down growth rings on the otolith. So You can slice an otolith and polish the edges to see the growth rings to determine how old a salmon is.
Are salmon ears and human ears about the same?
Salmon don't have floppy ears like we do, so you might think that salmon and humans hear things very differently. But really the mechanism of hearing sound vibrating those ear bones to make the fish or the human hear sound, that's really the same thing.
So, do fish sleep?
Yes, fish do sleep. Swimming is hard work. I don't know if you've ever been tired out after an afternoon of swimming in the summertime, but swimming is hard work. Salmon don't have eyelids, so salmon and other fish like them, they actually sleep with their eyes open, which might sound really weird. But if you think about it, you sleep with your ears open every night. You have learned that if you're tired and you lay down and go to sleep, if you stop listening to things in the background, you can go to sleep and you feel better in the morning when you wake up. But your ears don't completely turn off and stop working, right? If there's a loud noise when you're sleeping, it wakes you up because that loud noise might mean danger. Well, the same thing is true for fish. They've got no eyelids, so they can't close their eyes. Their eyes are open all the time. And the water that they swim in is cleaning their eyes, so they don't need to make tears or blink like we do. Their eyes are open all the time, but they learn to kind of ignore what they're looking at so that they can stop and take a rest, take a nap or sleep for the night. But if a big fish or a predator comes by, that will scare them to wake up and escape.